Hey guys, welcome back to the ocean. This is Theory Chum. And to start this off with, I probably will not be dropping a new video this Monday because I'm already dropping two back-to-back videos over the weekend. I do have a lot of videos planned, a lot of great things coming forward, but today we're back again so soon already because we had a great big drop happen. Mr. Tom from Game Theory went over the reagent. Now, I'm going to be talking about his video. I'm not going to be reacting to it because I'm really just going to hit on the central premise. I actually already cooked once in their comments, and I'm about to cook here again. Mr. Thomas actually goes into the reagent. He wants to learn more about the gas, and then he goes into these tanks that are underneath the Pizzaplex that that he thinks because there's no other seemingly answer for the reagent that nitrogen has to do something with the reagent, which is just false. It doesn't have, it's not connected to the reagent. You were right. Tom, on his second guessed chlorine, and he was correct there. There's more showings in the book that you could have looked at, like the Soda-Roni ending. Whenever Cassie poured the Soda-Roni into its chemical container, it created a massive bubbling effect, and you could compare it to like Coke and Mentos. But that's the similar effect happens whenever carbon dioxide interacts with chlorine gas. It's going to make that bubbling area and it's going to try to fill all of the empty space in the container. And that's why the bubbles activate so rapidly. Things start to corrode is because it's overflowing back into its systems. Um, Coming from this, I do want to touch real quick. It is incredibly common for food businesses, large businesses, especially places that have like ice cream, freeze-dried candies, frozen beverages, that like ices and stuff like that. They have nitrogen machines or nitrogen tanks that help keep things cooled down, help keep them cold as well. And that this was my original interpretation, but I'm gonna have to say TD Reeds has convinced me I'm wrong because it is significant that it's by the parts and serve or it's by the scooping room. Even though there's other nitrogen otherwhere. And then like as he pointed out, you can see the nitrogen gas actually being let out whenever you hit the button. He thinks it's to suppress remnant because it comes out when the button's hit. But I think it's more to make sure that it's suppressing the heat. That way it doesn't overheat and the remnant loses its properties. I think it's trying to keep the metal cool enough without overheating. I do have some more stuff to go in for that. It's going to be a part of another video. Today, we're here to talk about why is chlorine gas what the reagent used. Now, for some more backup on this chlorine gas, we're going to go ahead and look at parts of services from Help Wanted, and we're going to look at Chica's. She very clearly is getting dirty with all these bugs, and we have to clean her and sanitize her with this stuff called chemispray. The chemispray releases a greenish yellowish cloud. It's meant to clean. It causes all of the effects that Cassie goes through, blurred vision, the cough, vertigo. And it even says while you're doing the parts and services for Chica that you can get these same side effects. And they match up with what Cassie had in the books. Um, so the chemispray is the chlorine agent that the reagent used. But why does it use chlorine? And we're going to go into that now. So, as you brought up with the Steelwood interview, he said we're supposed to look to the past, but you're automatically assuming he's talking about the game's past. Let's look at our past, like in the real world. Chlorine gas was used as a chemical weapon in the early 90s, late 80s, and the 70s until it was banned by the Geneva Convention. The reagent is a war crime. Going on from this isn't the only showing of the military in FNAF. And I really hope that someone from Game Theory sees this because it's really important that like we're understanding what we're dealing with because it's even being shown in movie scripts and we've gotten tons of references of teams of psychologists that worked with the CIA. To start off, I want to start off with a better showing, and it's going to be the Freddy Fazbear Pizza Simulator. Whenever we're going to salvage with Henry, I want everyone to remember that this was not intended for Michael's job. Like, he was not the intended target for this job. So whenever Henry is making the initial recording that's not meant for Michael, he's making it to someone else. And that person has special obligations under paragraph 4. We're going to go ahead and take a moment to look at that clip.
Congratulations on completing the week. Unfortunately, you did not meet your special obligations under paragraph 4. Your employment is terminated. We'll mail you your things. End tape.
Now, I want to be very, very sure that we understand something, that he's talking about the threats that the animatronic pose, and the threat is death. And he's telling the person that has this voice recording pre-recorded for, that you have an obligation to risk your life in this situation under special paragraph number 4. Now, if we look into the military, you can actually look into the enlistment forms where the special paragraph 4 is whenever the service member signs to actually be willing to risk their life for the military, to follow all of their commands. It is the will and duty to give their life to the service, and that's what they're signing it away as in this paragraph. We're going to continue on and go look at the sister location source code. First, obviously, we're to understand that one of the abbreviations here, the AMN, is to be a stand-in for animatronic, right? That's why we're seeing Baby, Funtime, Foxy, the Ballora, etc., etc. But that also doesn't mean it can't have a double meaning. AMN is also the abbreviation for the rank of an airman of E2. Then a rank of an airman E2 is someone who would be a crewman, abbreviated CRMN, which is also listed in the sister location source code in these same files. Also, whenever you're looking at the days, you can see that some of them say MAT. This stands for Maintenance, Analysis, and Testing, which we know that the two that came before us in sister location were doing exactly that on the animatronics there, like Shocking Baby and stuff. The ones who got killed and hung. And then if you look at the rest of the sister location, it says that these crewmen are supposed to send their service files to Afton Robotics. See, in the care of Afton Robotics, i.e. Afton isn't there at the place that the mail is being sent to. We're being told that the two technicians that came before Michael, that we played as Michael in the sister location, are part of the military, just like the original intended target for Freddy Fazbear Pizza Simulator. Now we can go and look at the potential FNAF 2 movie scripts, and we can look at, there's one that's actually about the military, where he says, hey, they explain that they're in bed with Freddy Fazbear Entertainment, that it's more than just entertainment business, and the general acknowledges that. He also makes notions to things in physics, such as the observer effect. And then he talks about the energy vortex, which there's one called the Bowl right outside of Hurricane, Utah, which is the setting for the Silver Eyes. And now, not only is it the setting for the Silver Eyes, thanks to Johnny Block showing us the cover of the later security breach guide, we know that Fazbear ENG was also around Hurricane because we have the zip code and information right smack dab on the front. So now we have confirmation that in the games, Fazbear ENT is also connected to Hurricane, which puts them right outside of the bowl in Hurricane in the Utah too. Continuing on here, we got one more thing I want to touch on, and it's actually going to be 3 people. I've touched on this in this video here where I talk about the Secret Science Society, so I'm not going to get too much into it. I'm just going to do a quick rundown of where they're at and why they're important. In the 1:35 a.m. epilogue, Taggart talks about a stare experiment done, where they try to form a mental shield of light. Later on, he's going on over the things that he uses to measure agony, and the narration describes, and it starts a sentence with, like Broad. Broad is William Broad. William Broad, in the real world, worked with the CIA and did this stare experiment that Taggart had previously spoke of. Next is going to be Helmut Schmidt, whom studied the REG, the 0 point field, which both are in Fetch, and then the FNAF 2 movie script. He studies the observer effect as well. So all three of those, and he worked with William Broad in the Mind Science Foundation. The third one is going to be Marilyn Schlitz, where she did an ironically named calm study, where they were to stress someone out, isolate them, make them feel lonely, to just intensify their feelings of grief and loneliness. And then at the peak of loneliness, they introduced a shaman to calm them down, much like the Fredbear plush does in FNAF 4. And we know that it's William speaking through the Fredbear plush in FNAF 4 because we see the walkie-talkie. Um, all of them together worked in the Mind Science Foundation. The Mind Science Foundation worked with the CIA back in the 60s, back in the 70s, back in the 80s, and they worked on one important experiment. And it's the experiment that Scott Calton has recreated on everybody who has played the game. It's called Operation Gateway. The steps are the same. The effects of the focuses in the CIA file are the abilities of the MCI and Agony throughout the series. It's real. It's pretty much one-to-one, even down to where, like, the file calls that, the file predicts that they feel this sense of joy and comedy at a specific point of doing these patterns over and over again, that they find it laughable. And that's how a lot of the people in the community react. So there's signs that not only did Scott Calton do this experiment, but he exceeded in some ways. Obviously, he didn't get to the ways where we're floating energies that aren't affected by time, which, yes, is, by the way, is one of the effects of one of the focuses in the Operation Gateway. I really hope you guys watch this. I really, really hope that we can get it known that the military is in FNAF without someone yelling, Nazi Freddy, because that is very, very annoying. Um, Again, if you guys are watching this, I don't know. I might have my new video out Monday. Depends on how much work I can get done on it. This has been a back-to-back video right off of me doing the coat rack video, and I spent a lot of time working on that audio. I haven't spent a lot of time working on the new video because everything going on here. Um, if you liked what you've seen today, go ahead and smash that like button. If you really liked it, swim your finger on over to the subscribe button. Thank you guys so much for swimming in the ocean. And hey,